Hey y'all, this is Harmony from Make It Weird. You may notice that the audio quality in these next few episodes doesn't sound quite as nice as it usually does. That's because it's not as nice. We made a small boo-boo while recording a few episodes, but as the great Alanis Morissette once said, you live, you learn. We'll have things back to our normal, crystal clear quality starting on mini-episode number 7. Allegedly. Thank y'all for listening and being patient as Haley and I navigate the scary podcast world. Enjoy the episode and keep it weird. Bye!
Oh, jeez. Oh, what do you want to say to the people? We have on the podcast today on the Dogcast, we have Baby, the second best dog in my life.
So you're showing the people your butt?
Yes, of course she is. It's a very nice butt.
Hey, wait. Could you turn around? Show the people your cute little face. You go over here.
What does she look like? What did you say?
Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman looking at us. Do you have anything you want to share with the audience?
Any last words for the audience?
Speak. Speak. Good girl. Great.
Why is it that everyone knows that clap?
Child lore.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That would be like high school lore because everyone on the football team did those little cheerleading claps.
Oh, that was how the teachers in like elementary school got us all to shut
that's
up.
true. There was always a little cheer that was like, I don't know, a nice way of saying shut the fuck up.
We didn't have that. The teacher would just go, and then she would stop, and then we would go.
Yeah. Did they ever turn the lights off on you?
Yes.
Yes. That was like
You're
no one has listened multiple times in a row, and you better shut the fuck up.
We had this thing in my middle school. It was the traffic light in the cafeteria. Somebody had complained that the cafeteria got too loud at lunch because fucking heaven forbid children talk. And
they always got so mad in the cafeteria being loud.
I know.
Like, as long as we're not getting up out of our seats, like, let us have a good time, please.
Yeah. So the fucking stoplight, it would hit a certain like level of volume and it would turn red. And then the teachers would make us all shut up.
I think we had something kind of like that.
And it was
familiar.
It was busted for like a month. It was way too sensitive. And so we were silent basically all of lunch.
That's sad.
Oh, it was really
fun ones like that. I'm remembering now, like, something would have happened and we all got in really big trouble, and so everyone at lunch had to like not talk.
Yeah,
that was like our punishment, which looking back on it now, granted I don't have kids, but like that kind of seems
fucked up.
Yeah,
I think truly, genuinely in my heart, the trauma of not being able to talk at lunchtime in middle school is what inspired me to make a podcast.
Yeah.
And here we now are at Make It Weird.
Make It Weird.
The podcast.
This is a podcast of two people who were maybe deprived of attention, and we just really want it now.
I think that's why people make podcasts in general.
Absolutely. We want attention. We crave it. Give it to us. What other childhood trauma do you have?
I don't like to talk about it.
Okay. That'll be a different podcast.
Yeah.
It's called We Don't Want to Talk About It, but then we talk about it.
Make it extra weird. Talk about our like weird childhood.
Let's do one called Make It Uncomfortable.
Anyway.
It's this one actually.
Yeah.
It's made me uncomfortable. Good job. This is the first episode of Make It Uncomfortable.
Do you like history?
Yes.
Do you like true crime history?
Yes.
Do you want to know some true crime history?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Frances Glessner Lee and her nutshell studies of unexplained death?
No.
Okay. So she was known as the mother of forensic science. Mm-hmm. She was born in 1878 in Chicago to a wealthy family. Her father pushed her and her brother to learn as much as possible and to be highly educated, getting them both tutors from a very young age. Frances enjoyed Sherlock Holmes stories and had a passion for like mysteries and thrillers, whatever, but she believed her calling to be medicine. So when she came of age to go to college, her brother went off to Harvard, but her father would not allow her to go to college because she's a woman.
Obviously.
Her job as a high society woman was to sit around, look pretty, and do household chores.
Honestly, vibes.
Yeah. For real. So her brother went off to study at Harvard and Frances got married. She had 3 kids and was divorced in the 1930s. Well, yeah, which is what it works out for her.
Okay, good.
While she couldn't go to college, she still kept pushing herself to learn as much as possible whenever she could, through like the time of her marriage. And this push led her to her brother's friend from Harvard, Dr. George Burgess Magrath, whom she quickly became close to. He was considered the leading figure in legal medicine, which inspired Frances Lee to pursue her education in legal medicine too. So she did eventually get to go to college as she initially desired, but of course, years after she had initially wanted to. Like, imagine if she had all that time before to have started her
Right.
career sooner. Like, what else she could have done?
Marriage was more important.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what legal medicine was, because I had to look it up, I had never really heard of this term. It was basically the studying and application of scientific and medical knowledge to legal problems. Basically, forensics.
Okay.
So Magrath was studying medicine, and told Lee stories of real-life crimes that he assisted in solving, which also set off Frances Glessner Lee's fascination with forensic science and medicine. So, according to Death and Diorama, which is a biography about Miss Frances Glessner Lee, quote, through her friendship with Magrath, she learned the challenges of investigating violent deaths. Coroners at the time were not required to have medical degrees, and the police were not. I know, right? Isn't that fucking buck
What are you
wild?
gonna do without a medical degree as a coroner?
Who knows? Who fucking knows? So on top of not having a medical degree, the police at the time were not trained in how to gather and preserve medical evidence. As such, many murderers went free because of ignorance and poor training.
Yeah, of course. They used to just go up on the scene and start touching everything.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, granted, they didn't have fingerprint technology, but still.
but still, you
Like
mess
movie
with stuff.
and,
Yeah.
like, yeah, getting new footprints everywhere. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Messy.
So Miss Frances decided to follow her newfound passion, which is forensic investigations. In 1931, she's already gone to school, started studying all of this stuff. Lee donated $250,000 to create the country's first Department of Legal Medicine at Harvard, with
That's a lot of
George
money.
McGrath at its chair. Yeah.
Sorry, what year was this?
1931.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking money.
It's a lot of money. At this time, her family had, like, everybody had passed away, so she inherited a lot of money. And so she did what I think is a great thing, which is invest in schooling for other people.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So by 1936, Harvard was well underway in graduating medical examiners. However, violent deaths were still going unsolved because law enforcement didn't know how to handle or even identify pertinent medical evidence. Frances then inaugurated Harvard Seminars in Homicide Investigation, later renamed the Harvard Associates in Police Science Seminars, specifically tailored to the needs of law enforcement. She organized week-long seminars and managed the curriculum with the help of Harvard University and extensive specialized research in forensics. The first Harvard Associates in Police Sciences, or HAPS, what's the HAPS dog, was held in 1945.
Oh.
Yeah, so it took them a while to get all this together. The participants were invited from around the Northeast and spent a week learning the arts of crime and science detection. And she, Miss Glessner, took a special interest in training police officers because, as the first to arrive on the scene of a crime, they had to recognize and preserve evidence critical to solving the case. At the time, as we talked about, most police officers inadvertently botched cases by touching, moving, or failing to identify evidence. So Lee was also extremely interested in better integrating the work of and communication among medical experts, police officers, forensic investigators, and prosecutors. But even with the seminars, hands-on training for these police officers was impossible due to time constraints, privacy concerns, and obviously the unlikeliness that a violent crime occurred during the week-long seminar. These hurdles led Miss Lee to create crime scene models, a teaching tool that she dubbed the nutshell studies of unexplained deaths.
This is cool.
It's so cool.
Ugh.
So, like I said, she first came up with the idea in like 35, and then the first seminar was done in the 40s. So through these years, Lee used real police cases and reconstructed different scenes and many miniature models.
Dang, that's really cool. Sorry, so she's making models like of like a person and like different scenarios that they could be like laying in, or
Like you know, dollhouses?
yeah.
It's like a dollhouse, but like each room is like a different crime.
So cool.
It's really, really cool. And she was known for her attention to detail.
Mhm.
Everything from the position and the type of rot and decay on the bodies to the red blood splatter to the type of wallpaper in her scene, no detail was left undone. Everything was immaculate. Like, she would have calendars and the day would be circled, or like they would have X's through the previous days to show this is the day and the month that this person died.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So she created a total of 19 nutshells, and the nutshells were used to train homicide investigators to convict the guilty, clear the innocent, and find the truth in a nutshell. Which is
that's so great.
right? And also, kind of around this time, while she's working on all these things, getting the seminars together, Lee began working with the New Hampshire State Police. In 1943, she was appointed captain, becoming the first female in the U.S. to hold such a position.
That's amazing.
Which is super fucking
Really,
cool.
really cool. Yeah.
So when she began working on these nutshell dioramas, she realized too that she needed some help. So she got help from Ralph Moser, who she had as a full-time carpenter to assist her with these miniatures. Together they made about 3 models a year. 20 are presumed to have been created, but only 18 of these models survive.
Oh, I want to see them. Do you have pictures of
I do. They're super cool. And some of them are actually on display at a few museums.
I was going to say, that's really
too.
cool. I would like to see that in a museum.
Of these 18, 11 of the models depict female victims, all of whom died violently. Quote, on one hand, because the nutshells depict the everyday isolation of women in the home and expose the violence there, they can be viewed as a precursor to the women's movement, which is a super cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
Each of these models cost $3,000 to $4,000 to create.
Wow.
Yes, so they were not cheap.
I thought they were just carving little things out of wood and stuff, but they're really like...
Yeah, I mean, that probably
super
includes...
detailed.
That probably includes the cost of the carpenter doing work and
Yeah.
helping her, and like her total hours spent carving everything out. I mean, her attention to detail was like incredible. She went to autopsies to ensure accuracy. Like I said, she would have like a wall calendar with pages after the month of the incident, like showing when stuff was happening. She had openable windows in some of them. And some
I
of
want to play with these.
I know, right? And she would like make sure that the clothing on the little miniatures of the people was like pretty true for the time and like, what was going on.
That's neat.
So through the models that Lee made, all of which were donated to Harvard in 1945, students there were able to learn how to effectively canvass crime scenes in order to discover and analyze evidence. Through their findings, they could work to determine if the scene was murder, suicide, death by natural causes, or an accident. Although the crimes depicted in the nutshells were composites of actual cases, the character and decoration of the diorama's interiors were Glessner Lee's invention. So she's kind of make up stories too. Like she would take inspiration from real crimes, but then kind of add her own stuff to it. And students were instructed to study the scenes methodically and draw conclusions from the visual evidence. There were no written solutions to any of these, except for locked away in Harvard. So the students are not told at the end whether or not what they got out of all the evidence is true or not. The whole thing is just like, you sit down, you look at every single little piece, and you tell me what your story is. Miss Lee passed away in 1962 at 84 years old, and a few years after her death, Harvard's Department of Legal Medicine was dissolved, and Lee's dioramas were then transferred to the Maryland office of the Chief Medical Examiner. There, the dioramas live and continue to be used as training tools for use in forensic seminars. And something of note, too, just on this whole topic of forensics and a woman in forensics, while Frances was the first woman in forensics, the field has grown so much that it is basically dominated by women.
Hell yeah.
It is actually the only STEM field that is overwhelmingly female.
That's amazing.
Yes. So I've got some quotes about that from a couple of different articles. In the last few years, the abundance of television shows, movies, and true crime podcasts that portray the application of forensic science and criminal investigations have produced higher societal expectations for the contribution that scientists and technologies can offer, not only in solving violent crimes, but also cyber crimes, chemical attacks, and mass disasters. This so-called CSI effect has resulted worldwide in an increased interest by students and professionals towards forensic science.
Yes.
In fact, many people who have started their career in the field have attributed their strong interest to media influence. As an occupation, being a forensic scientist is hard, requiring high specialization, involving many responsibilities and many working hours. Yet, it's a really attractive career. In fact, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, between 2014 and 2024, employment in forensic science will increase around 27%. Obviously, this is an article. In particular, forensic science seems a very exciting career for women, as evidenced by the fact that women numerically exceed men in both undergraduate and graduate forensic science programs. Teresa Golden, director of the forensic science program at the University of North Texas, reported that...
Hey! UNT! That's my college!
Is it really?
Yes!
What if I leave a body farm?
Wait, fuck yes, they do. I always forget about that. What was her name again?
Teresa Golden.
Okay.
So she reported in 2007 that the ratio of female to male students in forensic programs was 90-10.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. You would think that it would be a slightly more evenly split.
Right.
I just wonder what the difference in attraction is between that and something else that's, in like criminal area.
Like lawyer or police officer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's something to be said about like men, I feel generally have a lot more of an ego drive when it comes to the careers that they select. So
Yeah.
that could be something for like being a lawyer. Like you want to be able to go back home and say like, I'm a big money lawyer.
Yeah.
And then police officers, that's a whole separate thing. I don't want to get into why some people choose to be police officers.
I mean, there's plenty of women police officers, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that there's more nowadays too. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting that there is such a small amount of men that
Yeah.
are interested in this. But that's really cool.
Miss Teresa Golden also observed that these female students were able to advance their careers, especially in big institutions such as DEA or FBI.
Wow.
In 2015, a woman named Jennifer Smith, who was a retired FBI special agent and professor of forensic science at Penn State University, reported, quote, currently 74% of the students in our forensic science program are young women, and they continue to fill the ranks of various laboratories.
Damn.
And UNT is one of the 8 universities in the US that has a body farm, with Mitch just mentioned with you. If you don't know what a body farm is, it's a place where forensic students can go out and actually observe bodies decomposing in different states, rates, places, and environments. I'm really hoping that one day I'll be able to visit one myself, whether it's while I'm alive or maybe after I'm dead. Doesn't matter to me. Donate my body, please.
I wonder at UNT if you're able to schedule or request like some kind of tour of the body farm. I would imagine probably not, or there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Man, that would be fucking cool.
It would be super cool. I know that some journalists can.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe Judge, the host of Criminal, which I love you, Phoebe Judge. Please. Hello, I'm Phoebe Judge, and this is Criminal. Love her.
Love.
She did an episode where she got to walk around University of Tennessee, go Vols. Or Tennessee State University, whatever fucking, go Vols.
Vols, like
The Tennessee State Volunteers.
rodents? Vols?
They're like mascot. It's Tennessee State Volunteers.
Oh, I see.
I don't know why they're the volunteers, but that's what they're called. That's
Because
where
they always volunteer.
to go and donate their bodies to a body farm. That's where I really wanted to go to college.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
You could have gone to UNT where we have a body farm.
But then I would have been to Texas.
Yeah.
Would you like to see some photos?
Yes.
I'm just going to turn this around and you can just kind of scroll.
Literally the first thing that caught my eye in the first picture is, I want that lamp. These are so much more detailed than I could have imagined.
Mhm.
It's like having an antique dollhouse, but murder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these are cool.
Oh yeah, they're super awesome.
Wow.
So if you go to the Smithsonian's website, they actually, some of them have 3D tours where you can look around the diorama from inside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those are like more detailed than any dollhouse I've ever seen.
No, it's super cool. And I watched, there's videos on YouTube of people also going to this exhibit, or the Smithsonian also has somebody walking through it, talking about some of it. And one of the things that they would do when people would visit the exhibit, they would hand them flashlights. So you could like peek around and really try to
because
see
there's so
everything.
much detail in there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could do an episode from the UNT body farm.
Like dead?
Yeah.
I'd be
In
down.
the afterlife.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's a lot of podcasts in the afterlife.
Dude.
Probably a very competitive industry.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Really quick. So when we were talking about trying to get a better camera, I don't know if we're going to use the good camera or the phone camera, the not so good camera, I should say. I was looking, because I know some libraries will have stuff that you can rent, like cameras and different equipment. So I went to my city's local library, like their website, and was looking up stuff that I could rent, possibly for podcast reasons. They don't have a camera or a microphone or anything of relevance to us, but they do have a ghost hunting kit for rent.
Stop it.
Oh yeah.
Should we take it to the sanatorium like 20 minutes from here?
Well, I was thinking, remember how like Halloween, was it 2 or 3 years ago? We just decided to
went
go
to the cemetery.
Yeah, we just went to a graveyard at dark.
If you don't think we're spooky, we hang out at cemeteries.
Sometimes. Yeah. It was dark. Like it was dark. We pulled up after the sun had set. We had gotten margaritas and tacos, and we like drove by, and I was like, what if we go in there? And you were like, Yeah.
What if we
and I
did?
was like, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, it was fun. And I picked up a bird feather and you told me to drop it because there could be parasites on it.
True.
But I wanted to keep it, but I didn't because I listened to you. And then I almost took home, there was a piece of like wrought iron something on a pathway. And I was like, I want this. And you were like, Haley, you're going to get haunted. And I said, okay, well,
This
still.
girl wants bird diseases, tetanus,
Yeah.
and demons.
Oh, please. All of them at
All of them.
once.
Preferably.
Yes.
I'm still like, there's a part of me that feels like I remember that there was a body farm in UNT, but I wouldn't have remembered if you hadn't brought it up. And like
Yeah.
now I'm like, I'm going home next week. I'm like, should I see if I can go to the body farm?
Now I'm second guessing it. Give me a second. Body.
Oh, I mean, you were talking about this girl from UNT. I'm sure it's legitimate.
Maybe it's Texas State University. Those the same
Oh
thing.
no, they're not
Oh.
the same things.
Never mind. It's Texas State University that has a
But
body
wait,
farm, not UNT.
Was the woman you were talking about, was she from UNT?
She was from UNT.
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay.
They just didn't have a body farm. And I'm stupid. And for some reason, when I searched out Texas University body farm, my brain saw two words and was like, those are the same thing. Go Longhorns.
No.
Oh.
TSU. TSU is a private university. Theirs are the Horny Toads, I believe.
Yeah. Oh my god, what's that sound?
I think it's Horny Toads. Now I gotta look. I tried to go to TSU, but it was private, so it was expensive as
Oh my god, I
fuck.
fucking believe it, dude.
Yeah.
You could have gone to the body farm. I feel so stupid for mixing up colleges.
Don't. Because
Another
there's
state.
tons in Texas.
Yeah. All my exes live in Texas.
Mine do. Allegedly. One of them's dead.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I've told you about that.
I forgot.
I forgot. Oh, I'm wrong. Text the tiger. Which one is the Horny Toads?
Let's horny toads mascot Texas. Technically, the TCU mascot is the Texas horned lizard.
Oh, wait, no. TCU and TSU. TCU is what I was thinking of. TSU.
Texas Christian University.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Most of them in Texas are very Christian.
I believe that.
I was trying to go to, I got very close to going to Baylor, which is Baptist.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you didn't.
Mm-hmm. So you were saying the body farm is in TSU.
Yes, the body farm's in TSU.
I think
Not-
TCU.
Yeah.
Goddamn, there's so many big colleges.
Oh, fucking Texas.
They love their colleges and their football teams. UNT is a music and art school, but they try to push football so much, and their football team sucks.
Ooh, we're gonna get some hate mail from.
Everyone knows that they suck, unfortunately.
Well,
Sorry, guys.
it's okay.
That was really cool, though. The models are particularly amazing.
They are.
Did you ever watch
No.
Okay. Did you ever watch the show? It was with Dakota Fanning, but it's set in a similar time period. I guess more like early 1900s Victorian. I cannot remember what it was called. But Dakota Fanning played someone who initially started out as just like a noble woman, but then started getting more into crime, and she actually turned into a detective and like started her own detective agency. It is a really good show.
Yeah?
You would love it.
I only watch YouTube though. I don't really watch TV. I wish I was joking.
You would love it because the costumes are fucking sick,
Yeah.
and it's very like disgusting psychological murder shit.
Okay.
The Alienist is what it's called.
Oh.
There were 2 or 3 seasons, really, really good. All right. Do you like history?
Yeah.
Do you like true crime history? It's not crime.
Are you
but-
copying? Okay, I thought you were copying my fucking.
I just recite the entire
Oh my
thing back
god!
to you.
I'll get an
Imagine.
iPad. You can read off.
Imagine. All right. Are you ready for my story?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I love a lukewarm readiness level.
I'm glad. That's what I'm here to give you. Lukewarm. Nothing more, nothing less.
This is the Lukewarm Podcast, and I'm Harmony Houston
I'm Haley Lukewarm.
Johnson. On December 5th of 1872, the De Gracia, a British cargo ship, was sailing in the Atlantic Ocean about halfway between the Azores and the coast of Portugal on its way to Gibraltar.
That's what Drake was on, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Drake is immortal.
Well, he Degrassi.
I didn't know you were talking about until you said it. And he was in the wheelchair.
He was in the wheelchair.
Not handicapped. I always forget that he was on that show and he was in a fucking wheelchair.
He could be handicapped, though. Come on, Drake. Let me get my hands on you. Break your fucking legs.
Anyways. As the ship and its crew approached this location, one of the crew members, John Johnson,
Okay.
spotted another ship adrift in the choppy seas. He noticed that while the ship was in full sail, it was sailing somewhat erratically and not in a straight line. He decided to notify the captain as he was concerned something about the ship was not quite right.
Okay.
When Captain David Morehouse came up on deck to take a look at the ship, he was taken aback to discover that the unguided vessel I just want really quick. We're taking the most of the pause out, but like sometimes we have to pause because one of my dogs, Copper, he's a Beagle Corgi mix.
He's so cute.
So
Such a little
I
shit.
kind of want to bring him in later for a little shout out for him being a dick. So he had a really hard time getting potty trained, and so I bought him a doorbell, an actual doorbell. So it's a button about this big, and he pushes it with his nose, and it rings a bell, like an electronic bell in our house, and it's pretty loud, and it rings 3 times, and that fucker rings it. He figured it out, and he rings it all the time, and so there are times when we have to pause because it's going bing, bing,
He just
bing,
has to go pee-pees.
or sometimes he wants to run around and check out the birds.
Yeah, and he should.
Yeah.
It's his job.
So, concerned, ship doesn't look quite right. They're approaching it. Looks weird. When Captain David Morehouse came up on deck to take a look at the ship, he was taken aback to discover that the unguided vessel was the Mary Celeste,
Oh my god, yes.
a U.S.-owned ship which had left New York City 8 days before him. The ship was traveling on its way to Genoa, Italy, but it should have already arrived there. Morehouse decided to change course and investigate the ship and to offer help to its crew. However, upon boarding the ship, the crew of the De Gracia quickly discovered that the ship was eerily empty and all of its crew were nowhere to be found.
I love ghost ships. I love ghost ships so much.
Love them so much.
Oh my god, it's just so
much.
wild.
This is the story of the ghost ship, the Mary Celeste. This is Make It Weird, and I'm Harmony N. Houston.
Richard McLean. Smith. Oh, bless him.
I got a lot of this information from one of Richard McLean Smith's of Unexplained, the podcast, one of his earlier episodes, and I am a devout listener of his podcast.
It's a really good one.
It really is. It's got me through so many long drives. The Mary Celeste was built on Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, and was originally launched under British registration as the Amazon in 1861.
Oh.
So,
Man, Jeff Bezos got at it early.
yeah,
Huh?
exactly. He's been alive forever.
Just like Drake.
Honestly, if there was anyone like in today's society that I was like, that person's immortal, Drake, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk.
I would say Jimmy Carter, but he is dead now.
100 years old he was.
Oh my god.
Wild.
My little heart. Speaking of ghost ships, the Jimmy Carter. I wonder if the boat's gonna do anything.
I'm
special.
sure they will. Absolutely. Some kind of crazy send-off ceremony.
You down with JC,
You know me.
Jesus Christ,
Our Lord
And-
and Savior.
Jimmy Carter.
And Satan Christ.
Also, Jimmy Carter, our Lord and Savior.
Christ. Amen. For her maiden voyage in June of 1861, the Amazon sailed to the Five Islands, Nova Scotia, to take on a cargo of timber for passage across the Atlantic to London. Shortly after loading the ship and setting sail, Captain McClellan fell ill, and his condition continued to decline rapidly.
Okay.
The Amazon was forced to return to Spencer's Island because of the captain's condition. However, shortly after returning to the island, McClellan succumbed to his illness and died on June 19th of 1861.
That's your birthday, right?
Correct. I look great for me. Follow my other podcast for skincare tips for being 700 years old. Okay, it's not that many years, but still. You're gonna love this name. You ready?
Yes.
John Nutting Parker.
Parker.
Hardly know her. Nutting these Parker John nuts.
Nutting these John Johnsons in your mouth.
a very phallic episode.
We love
About a
PRs.
big long ship.
Try not to get scared. Scariest Stories edition. I was in the bathroom jerking my PNR.
No, I'm not putting that in there.
I love it so.
You Gen Z weirdo.
I like my brain rot cat videos.
Oh my god. Speaking of brain rot, John Nutting Parker then took over as captain and resumed the voyage to London.
Good for him.
However, the Amazon encountered further misadventures during its voyage. She collided with fishing equipment in the Narrows off Eastport, Maine, and after leaving London, ran into and sank another brig in the English Channel.
Bro. Okay, first of all, of course he'd fucking run into fishing equipment in Maine.
Right.
All they fucking know is lobster.
They're everywhere.
Oh, it's lobsters, lighthouses, and rocky shores.
LLR.
Stephen King wasn't there.
So, being that sailing is one of the most superstitious industries that exists, and especially during this time in the late 1860s, 70s,
Mhm.
you can imagine the reputation this ship has begun forming after all of these
Oh, yeah.
problematic issues.
Cursed.
Cursed.
We have cursed ships even today, dude. There's a boat.
The fucking Iowa?
It's so cursed.
Cursed as fuck.
Ooh, R.I.P. the 797. They're not dead, but for when they die. I shouldn't say that.
I mean, it has had a couple successful.
It has.
Right?
It's yeah. It's over. She's out now.
So from 1861 to 1867, the Amazon sailed often with no reported issues. Not until October of 1867, when the ship was driven ashore during a storm and was so badly damaged that her owners abandoned her as a wreck.
Oh my
Which was a very
gosh.
big deal at that time because these ships, usually they had a ton of investors. A lot of times the investors were the captains.
Mhm.
And so abandoning said ship, even if you're not a shareholder of it, like that's a lot of money, the cargo on there. It's a big deal to do that. On October 15th,
Mhm.
the ship was acquired as a derelict by Alexander McBean. Why are all these? I don't think I could notice it all together. They're all such weird names. McBean.
Make me on these nuts. I'm gonna go to jail.
All right, so it was acquired as derelict by Alexander McBean of Glace Bay, Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia needs nuts. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
And within a month, McBean sold direct to a local business. You can't see, I saw you smile. We are 7,000
Years old.
margaritas.
Oh,
And within a month, McBean sold direct to a local businessman who, in November of 1868, sold it to Richard W. Haynes, an American mariner from New York. Haynes became the captain of the newly remade ship and renamed it the Mary Celeste.
Mary Celeste on these nuts. Okay. All right. 3 times we're done. That's the rule of thirds with comedy. It's not funny anymore.
That's actually the superstition of Nutty Mary.
Nutty Mary McBean.
If you say a nut joke 3 times in a row, she
She nuts on your face. Oh, she goes. He's coming. We saw this Ferrazzi last night.
All right, so the ship is now called the Mary Celeste, owned by someone in the U.S. So the ship was passed around through various owners, but in October of 1872, one of the 12 shareholders, Benjamin Spooner Briggs, I know, again, became the new captain.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Benjamin because he's an important part of the story.
Yeah.
Benjamin grew up in the maritime industry, and his father was a sea captain, and most of his other siblings followed suit, and everyone was in the maritime industry.
Okay, like family business.
Yeah, exactly.
Family
They
affair.
love the water.
Yes.
They want to be in it. They want to live in it. And
Drink it.
Drink it. But don't do that.
Don't drink water. Water is poisonous.
Well, not ocean water.
Everyone who's ever drank water has died.
It's true.
You drink water and you die. As you're drinking water right
I'm
now.
dying right now.
Good. You should.
Focus.
On who?
That was for me.
Okay.
In 1862, he did what you do in the 1800s and married his cousin, Sarah Elizabeth Cobb.
Comedy's nuts.
Stop it! That one wasn't even a sexual name. The couple had 2 children, Arthur in September of 1865 and Sophia Matilda in October of 1870. What that name?
Matilda?
Sophia Matilda. Like, those are nice together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Benjamin was described as being a devout Christian, a good father, and a highly experienced and knowledgeable sailor and maritime captain.
We hate that.
Yep. Be worse. He also chose the crew of the Mary Celeste's maiden voyage with care, and it was said that his crew had the highest respect for him. There were 7 crew members total.
Oh, okay. So it's a very small.
Yeah, for the original voyage,
Okay.
like the maiden voyage. He chose to bring both his wife and 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, with him on the maiden voyage, and had the captain's quarters fitted to accommodate the 3 of them,
Mhm.
which is honestly kind of wild. Like, let me get to it in a second. So he chose to leave his school-age son, Arthur, behind in the care of his grandmother to continue with his studies.
Okay.
So the little girl was 2 years old, took her and his wife, and left the son there. So he chose to take wife and daughter along with him on the maiden voyage, which bringing a 2-year-old on a maiden voyage of a ship, like, of a very long journey is kind of wild. But I mean, I guess that's just kind of like when you're in that industry, that's what you do, I guess. So.
Just leave her with the fucking grandparents.
Yeah.
The wife doesn't have to go.
I think she wanted to,
Okay.
allegedly.
You know what? And like a young girl's education doesn't matter.
No, well, she's 2.
And how long is the voyage gonna last?
Like less than a year.
Then they all died.
Okay, stop. Spoilers.
You told us there was nobody on the boat.
Doesn't mean they died.
Valid. Okay. Sorry.
They're in hell. On October 20th of 1872, Briggs arrived at Pier 50 on the East River in New York City to supervise the loading of the ship's cargo of the 1,701 barrels of alcohol.
Hell yeah.
They got some nice cargo.
Hell yeah.
His wife and daughter joined him a week later. On Sunday, November 3rd, Briggs wrote to his mother to say that he intended to leave on Tuesday, adding that, quote, "Our vessel is in beautiful trim, and I hope we shall have a fine passage."
Oh.
They didn't.
Spoiler.
While Mary Celeste prepared to sail, the Canadian brigantine De Gracia lay nearby in Hoboken, New Jersey, awaiting a cargo of petroleum destined for Genoa via Gibraltar. All right, so we're going to fast forward to where we started this story, to when the crew of De Gracia have found the now abandoned Mary Celeste.
Okay.
Giving you some information leading up to their maiden voyage. So Captain David Morehouse's first mate, Oliver DeVoe, was the first person to board the now empty Mary Celeste. Upon boarding the ship and further investigation, DeVoe reported that while there was quite a bit of standing water below deck, the ship was otherwise in good sailing condition and, quote, still quite seaworthy. And the amount of standing water was, I mean, like, you could walk through it as standing water, obviously. Like, it's not anything to freak out about.
No, like I think some boats are made to be able to hold a certain amount of water in the bottom if necessary.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So,
They also found that 2 foresails had been blown away and another was left hanging by its corners.
oh.
The mainsail had fallen before being pulled down onto the deck. Also left on the deck was the ship's sounding rod. This is a rod that's used to check the pump's water levels when you're trying to check for potential leaks or flooding.
Okay.
So not only did they find that the pumps were in perfect working order, but a crew member actually dropped the sounding rod down one of the ship's pumps and found the water level to be normal. Nothing to be alarmed about.
Yeah.
The crew then found something that I think is particularly disturbing. The ship had only been loaded with 1 lifeboat, and it was missing. The crew continued their investigation and found the ship's navigational equipment had been knocked over and its compass smashed. They also searched the cabins and could not find the chronometer or sextant. And the captain's navigation book was missing. Sextants are actually really cool.
Oh yeah.
They're very neat.
You haven't gone to the Mystic Seaport Museum yet?
No, I haven't.
Right?
I bet they had a bunch of those.
They have like an exhibit where you can actually like they have one set up that you try to use to
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a super cool museum. Like it's $60 to get in, but like you can make a whole fucking day out of it. And it's so cool.
I'll pay a decent amount to go to a museum. I love a good museum.
It's like all outside. Too.
Yeah.
So in the springtime, like when I get back, we should absolutely
I would love to.
make a day out of it.
It's wild that I've lived here for this long and haven't gone to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt it.
No, you're good. Just really annoyed.
Sometimes you look really good when I interrupt you. I feel kind of bad.
That's just my face.
I know. Casey
Problem
pointed
is
it out. Because Casey watches the podcast videos. And there's one time where he like paused it. He looked at me. He was like, Haley, you have to stop interrupting Harmony's
It
noise.
literally does not bother me at all.
Okay.
Tell him to stop deciding what my emotions are. Does
Are you
he have a podcast? I don't think so.
Are you annoyed?
Yes.
I'll call him right now.
A podcast where we just call our significant others to start fights with them over nothing.
I would have so much fun with that. I do that most of the time anyway.
All right, so back to searching for the searching on the ship. Somewhere around 6 months of. Don't look at me like that.
Sorry. Okay.
That's annoying, but funny. Somewhere around 6 months of food and provisions remained virtually untouched, as well as the alcohol cargo.
That should have gone by.
Now, something worth noting is that alcohol was denatured.
Okay.
Denat, however you say that.
What does that mean?
It means that it's the alcohol is pulled from the drink, so it's the shit you don't want to drink.
Oh,
it's basically like rubbing alcohol.
Ew.
Yeah. It's like raw alcohol meant for people to make drinks from later on.
Okay.
But yeah. So in the captain's cabin, they found the skylight was left open, and consequently, everything inside it was drenched. Scattered on one of the beds were various charts, books, the ship's logbook, and in it, the ship's most recent location, dated November 25th, almost 2 weeks prior to the finding of the ship.
Whoa.
Mary Celeste's location was noted as being just north of the island of Santa Maria, which is about 400 miles away from where it was currently located.
Wow. So been drifting for a while. I mean, 2 weeks. It's been
2
for
weeks,
2
but
weeks.
400 miles it drifted.
I can't believe that it just kind of floated around and like the sea didn't take it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's this whole thing is so crazy and like eerie.
Yeah.
I love it. Once the crew, I don't do it justice, the eeriness. Richard McLean Smith, you should go listen to Unexplained episode of this. It's one of his earlier ones. Like, he has creepy music in the background.
Oh, it's so good.
He's British.
Yeah.
And he has a lovely voice, and he just does a fantastic job.
He's a great storyteller.
He really is. He also did a couple of fictional podcasts where he told stories that he made up, and they were really fun. Once the crew had finished a thorough search of the ship, it was decided that they would bring the ship with them to Gibraltar, and some of the DeGracia's crew would sail it.
Okay.
So they basically like kept buddy, and they kept close to one another up until the final stretch to Gibraltar when a heavy storm hit. So there was a moment of scare because it arrived a day later than the DeGracia, so they thought they had lost it.
Imagine if it had gotten lost again.
I know, a while, but did not.
Thank God.
All right, so creepy ghost ship has now been taken back to Gibraltar. It's under care of people in Britain, and they are now going to start looking into this whole scenario. So upon returning and involving the authorities in the situation, there was initially little interest in finding the missing crew of the Mary Celeste, but rather the focus was on who would get what from the ship and the ship itself.
Of course.
Authorities soon began an investigation of the abandoned vessel. They were able to rule out pirates since the cargo was basically untouched. Although a lot of people still try. There's so many theories around this. A lot of people still try to say it could have been pirates, but nothing was taken.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And the initial assumption was that Captain Briggs had abandoned ship for no viable reason. Remember how I talked about how he was really experienced, really knowledgeable, came from a maritime family, was very respected by his crew? Doesn't really make sense. There's also a question surrounding how the Mary Celeste even met with the DeGracia, since their crew sailed with the wind behind them, but the Celeste was able to approach them coming from the opposite direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the DeGracia is, coming this way with the wind behind them, but the Mary Celeste is able to come towards them.
So if the wind's blowing, then it should be going the same direction.
Yeah, so Satan was sailing it.
Thank God. Yeah, I bet he's a great sailor. Satan the sailor.
Yeah, Satan the sailor. STS. I'm sorry I can't help but do that.
It's okay.
It's just like, that's who I am now. Acronyms only.
Harmony acronym Houston.
But actually my initials.
Oh my God, they are.
Yeah. Ha. It's a pretty good one. Yeah.
HAH, what can I say?
Yeah. Anyways, speaking of ha. Not really. This is very funny. So investigators then searched the ship and had some interesting findings. They found 2 deep dashes. They found
Are you okay? Are you having a stroke?
They found 2 deep gashes cut out of each side of the ship's bow. It was suggested the marks were made artificially, so they could say the ship had been run aground, and that was the reasoning behind the abandonment. Lots of theories floating around here.
Well, they didn't have somebody go into the water while the ship's moving.
Well, There are theories that suspect foul play.
Okay.
And so someone was trying to say that they put those gashes there. I'll get into it.
Okay.
But, like, committed some crimes and then fell at the scene. They also found what appeared to be, I say appear, blood spatters on one of the sails and a deep cut in one of the rails that ran down the side of the ship, which they presumed to be made by an axe. There was also a sword discovered in the captain's quarters that appeared to be covered in spots of blood.
Just spots of blood, though.
Possibly wiped clean before being placed back in the scabbard.
Okay.
But the following week, as the investigation was concluding, a doctor who looked at the blood spatter found that the materials were not even blood, but rust.
Oh my god. They look so similar.
They do look very similar. And to the untrained eye, and in the 1870s, they saw something that looked like it, and they're like, yeah, this could be dried blood.
Yeah.
Look-see. Not so much. Although there shouldn't be rust on your sword, Captain.
Polish that bitch.
The main investigator was very convinced there was foul play, but the case was ultimately decided to be what the initial assumption was, of it being abandoned by its captain without any evident reason.
Okay.
Basically because they didn't have any other idea of what it could be and no evidence that led them to any other theory. So, which is unfortunate, especially for the one child that, he left behind, because it could, a captain abandoning ship is really, really bad. So it could have tainted his reputation.
Just immediate orphan.
It's really sad. And this was born Harry Potter.
What? You ever known any orphans? They're generally sad people.
Really?
What? It's true.
I know, I wanted to say it.
Okay. I'm gonna take it back. They're great, happy people. Nothing wrong with orphans.
It's like saying, like, have you ever met someone whose spouse just died? They're usually kind of sad. Like, yeah, of course they are.
I mean, like, years after, they're still sad about it.
I've met people that were adopted, but I don't know if I've known anyone that was an orphan.
Oh, I know someone who was orphaned.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it you?
No. No.
All right, so one theory surrounding foul play hypothesized that the ship's crew had gotten into the alcoholic cargo and then murdered Captain Briggs and his family during a drunken rampage before fleeing the lifeboat.
But why?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. It's a cute theory. So the crew had all been experienced sailors with impeccable records. They respected the captain. And like I said, the alcohol in the hold was denatured and not something that you would want to drink. It would be disgusting and very strong. Moreover, despite a search for the crew in ports around the world, not a single member ever turned up. So they never found anyone from this ship. Knowing what we know about the captain and his deep knowledge and experience in sailing and the alleged respect the crew had for him, neither foul play nor abandonment seemed to fit the scenario. So what really happened to the crew of the Mary Celeste? What if a sea monster had devoured the crew? Wasn't this mysterious disappearance obviously the work of aliens?
Yes.
I mean, we know aliens live in the ocean now.
Yeah,
so.
USOs.
Yeah, exactly.
We've known that for a while, though.
Yeah, but it's more recently, it's been like super confirmed, like in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Did you finish Investigation Alien?
No, I have not finished it. No.
Are you enjoying it at least? Because I really like it.
Yeah, no, I listened. I got 2 episodes in. I had a couple of small things where I was like, come on, guy, really?
They
But
dramatize some stuff.
it's for TV.
But the guy, I always forget his name. The guy that,
Yeah.
thank you. I mean, he's devoted his life to this, and he's done like legitimate good research.
Last podcast did a really good interview with him a couple of years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was a great interview. Definitely recommend checking it out.
He seems like a normal person, and is just really passionate about this, and has done a lot of research, and he's not like a crazy idealist or anything.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I like him and his work. I just still stand by it. We've talked. I remember like. We used to have on demand for TV and stuff, and I would find random shit all the time to watch. And one of the things that I found was, I don't even remember what channel it was, but there was like a channel that had little 15-minute like segments that you could click on and like watch. And one of them was about USOs, and that was in like 2008.
Yeah, but more recently, like actual government officials and people in the military.
I mean,
and there's paperwork.
Do
and all
we
this stuff?
do we trust them?
From what I've read, I do.
I think that we've known about all this stuff for a lot longer.
Oh, well, yeah.
They're just like finally now coming out and like saying stuff. But I also feel like it's been a slow like trickle.
Well, it's more so that it's just being corroborated by a lot of people in similar government positions. Yeah. So it's kind of like there's no reason for this to not be real anymore. I also the only thing genuinely that makes me question whether or not we have aliens is I genuinely feel like if Trump was told that there were aliens, he would have told us.
And not even that, like, you know, he's for the people, but
Do you
like,
think anyone bothered telling him though?
no.
He's senile.
Exactly.
Like,
And that's the thing, because I go back and forth, and that's what makes it so hard when it comes to this kind of shit, because it's like, he probably would have to know, because depending on what it is, it might be like a need to know basis, and as the president of the US, you probably need to know, but also like, because he's probably such an information leak risk, it might be like, we're not telling you because
yeah,
you're.
like I wonder if they can make that decision. Like, this guy is fucking psychotic. We're not giving him this information.
I think it depends on the agency. If it's the FBI, then they can demand it, but the CIA doesn't answer to anybody.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
Anyways,
sorry to completely.
No. I love talking about aliens.
Yeah.
Perhaps the ship's flour had become contaminated with hallucinogenic ergo fungus and caused the entire crew to throw themselves overboard in a fit of collective madness. Mm-hmm. Not entirely impermissible. Like, it could have happened.
I like that word, impermissible.
That's the word, right?
Yeah, no, it is. I like it. I don't know. I like that you used it, though. I thought it was a very great word. You sounded very eloquent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You sounded very elephant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, a couple other theories, or at least one. Some historians now believe that the ship hit a waterspout, a tornado at sea, that caused the vessel to take on water.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Mary Celeste was still seaworthy, Captain Briggs may have panicked and abandoned ship, only to have the lifeboat sink in the storm.
Yeah, that would make sense.
There's literally tons and tons of other theories. There's other ones that make a little bit more sense recently, like a waterspout. There was also Arthur N. Putman, a New York insurance appraiser, was a leading investigator in sea mysteries in the early 20th century. I want that job. And he discovered that the boat's rope was cut, not untied, the lifeboat.
Ooh, okay.
Which indicated that the abandonment of Mary Celeste was performed quickly. The ship's log contained several mentions of ominous rumbling and small explosions from the hold.
Oh.
Although cargoes of alcohol naturally emit explosive gas, and such sounds are commonly heard. He supposes that there had been a more intense explosion and, in response, a sailor ventured below deck with an open flame or lit cigar that ignited the fumes, causing an explosion violent enough to dislodge the top of the hatch, which had been found in an unusual position.
Okay.
Putman also postulated that in a panic terror, the captain, his family, and the crew boarded the lone lifeboat, cut the rope, and abandoned the ship.
Which that would make sense.
It would make sense, although I feel like an explosion like that would have done so much more damage, but I could be wrong.
I'm not an explosiologist.
Yeah,
I don't know enough
you didn't
about
go to
explosion.
Explosion University?
No, actually, I didn't go to any university.
I went to Explosion local university. Local college, community college on explosions.
Yeah.
CCE, community college explosions.
CCOE, Community College of Explosions?
That's better, yes.
Okay.
CCOE.
Well, you said local community college, so LCCOE.
Correct. Our mascot was dynamite.
Oh, I thought it was the horny toads. They exploded out of their penis. Because they're horny toads.
Yeah.
Horny toads. Yeah.
Horny for explosions. My new screen name.
Horny for explosions. Anyway.
But I like that theory.
Yeah.
The most.
Well, my only question, I feel like when alcohol like evaporates and it vaporizes, turning into something like that becomes flammable, wouldn't all the alcohol then be gone?
So they were saying, this is the thing that I had a bit of a struggle with, is that a bunch of the articles I read, and like one from the Smithsonian had varying information from other ones on like the History Channel website, which are both pretty legitimate and accurate ones. So I think there's a lot of conjecture around this. A lot of information is kind of split. For the most part, though, the idea that the ship was pretty much intact when they got to it. Anyways, the reason I was saying that is there was one article that said some of the barrels were close to empty.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
It could be that, during all of the ruckus that they, like the lids or whatever came off and they started evaporating. Mm-hmm. Maybe it spilled, there's a bunch of different reasons, but like I was saying, like some of them said the alcohol was untouched and then some of them said that some of them were empty.
Yeah. Conflicting information. Who knows?
Right, exactly. But I think this one probably makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to this day, it is still a mystery. It still baffles historians what exactly happened to the crew. Not a single one of them was ever found. So we have Benjamin Briggs, daughter Sophia, wife Sarah, Albert G. Richardson, Andrew Gilling, Edward Head, Volkert Lawrenson, Arian Martins, Boy Lawrenson, and Gottlieb Gondenschall. Gottlieb Gondenschall,
What a name.
right?
Gun shall these nuts down your throat.
And that is the story of the mysterious ghost ship, the Mary Celeste, and her missing crew.
Oh, that's so good, dude. I love that story. Thank
I
you.
love ghosty stuff, especially like Victorian type creepy shit, like we just
Yeah.
saw in Nosferatu. Love that.
What if there was a vampire on board? Didn't they ever make a movie about the Mary Celeste?
Ooh, maybe.
Mary Celeste. Movie? Ghost ship movie? I feel like that would be a good thriller.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a Mystery of the Mary Celeste that came out in 1935. Oh my god, Bela Lugosi's in it.
Who?
Bela Lugosi. He played Dracula in one of the like original Dracula movies. Yeah.
That's cool. Which Dracula movie was the one where he put fish hooks in his nose?
I'm not sure.
You don't know what I'm talking about? I thought for sure you would.
No, I do not know.
Are you typing it in?
No, I'm looking at Bela Lugosi.
Hold on. I'm gonna find it.
Did you also go to Google Images? Because I went to Google Images after typing in fish hooks and nose, and that was not a good choice.
Oh, it was Phantom of the Opera. That's what I'm thinking of.
You know, Dracula and Phantom of the Opera do share some
Yeah.
similarities. I'm not like being sarcastic either. I think a lot of it has to do with the cape
Yes.
and the vibes.
You know the like image I'm talking about where he's like the Phantom of the Opera guy?
I haven't seen Phantom of the Opera.
No, the old one.
No, like there's an old Phantom of the Opera. I'm sorry, I'm gonna sound so stupid. I know.
I didn't know that.
I'm really familiar with the musical.
Yeah, no, the musical came from the original
Wow.
movie, which is very old. Let's see. When did it come out? Oh, I'm sorry. So it's based on a novel, which I believe
Yes.
was. So the novel was from 1910. Right, so Lon Chaney was the actor.
It's Gerard Butler.
Oh, he also played the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. He frequently gave himself nosebleeds by twisting fish hooks and safety pins into his nose to distort its shape and fit himself with a constrictive harness and hump to play Quasimodo.
Okay, so that's for a Hunchback.
Yeah, but I think he did something similar for Phantom of the Opera because if you look at his face, like his nose is up. He used his pain to fuel his vulnerable performances as monstrous outsiders, desperately seeking love and acceptance and rarely receiving it. But he did like method acting and shit too. So as Phantom of the Opera, he would be like elusive and not talk to people and stuff.
Maybe instead of method acting, you could just be a good actor.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
method acting is a lot. The
It-
whole thing
it
with
is.
Heath Ledger really that was rough.
fucking Jared Leto method acting, quote unquote, for the Joker and like sending people dead animals and shit.
No,
The only people that would appreciate that is me.
Jared Leto's a lot.
Yeah. My favorite part of American Psycho was when he gets axe murdered.
I forgot about that. I've only seen it once and like 7 years ago.
Really? I watch it.
I know it's,
really
like, one of
frequently.
your favorite
I
movies.
love American
Yeah,
Psycho. It's a
yeah.
classic for me. I fall asleep to it.
I love the scene when they're comparing business cards.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
I also love, I saw, I told you about this yesterday, a comment on TikTok that was about like women and their beauty routines. And it was, I don't know if these Pilates girls realize they're closer to being Patrick Bateman than any of these finance bros will ever be. It was like on a morning shed routine, which is like these girls go to sleep, not just
Yeah.
girls, I should say women and like whoever else does it.
Yeah.
But usually it's women. They go to sleep and they have like face masks on and their hair in a bonnet, which I
Yeah.
also wear, and like mouth tape on and all this different stuff. It's ridiculous. Some of it is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jaw straps.
Yep. It's a lot. That's too much for me. It's too much effort. My like 45 step skin routine is already too much.
Yeah.
My skin unfortunately needs it.
I
Craves the moisture.
moisturize me. You watch Doctor Who?
Mm.
It's like the first episode of the remake of Doctor Who. There's like a creature that's just skin stretched out and it asks to be moisturized.
And does it say
I remember when they first invented chocolate.
No. It'd be weird if it did though.
yeah, love that episode.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for sharing our stories. Thank you for sharing our time here.
Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for giving us your time
Yes.
that is owed to us.
It is actually contractually owed to us.
You
are-
signed the NDA, right?
Yeah, it got mailed to you.
So you owe us your time.
Well, I guess thanks for listening.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, we recorded 4 episodes today, and my throat is a little scratchy now. And
Yeah.
I'm
gonna go sleep,
guys. It's eepy pie Betty time. Eepy. I want Taco Bell.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
And thanks for listening.
You know what to do. Subscribe to us on social media. Subscribe to us on YouTube specifically. We
And
obviously and Spotify. There are videos on YouTube, videos on Spotify, and the audio is anywhere you listen to podcasts. And we are on Instagram, TikTok,
Facebook, Threads, all at Make It Weird Pod.
YouTube Shorts. Nobody cares about YouTube Shorts apparently. They just want the talk. Anyways, or send us
Emails.
Send us your stories. I posted something on either on Christmas or day before saying, you should ask your family members around the dinner table for any weird stuff, like any crimes they remember from their childhood or anything strange that happened to them, like near-death experiences. 9 times out of 10, people like don't share this stuff with you, and they've only shared it with those like really, really close to them. And you can get some good stuff out of them. So if you get anything like that, anything from relatives or friends or from yourself that you want to share with us,
holy shit, I just realized I forgot to tell you about the family story that I learned from my dad and my grandpa. My dad and my grandma. Oh my god, my grandma and my grandpa. It's just so short. I'm so sorry. I learned this at Thanksgiving. And this is the kind of stuff that you can get if you just ask your family to share with you weird stories.
Yes.
So I'm like talking to them and I'm like, yeah, do you guys have any weird things? Grandma's like, well, we used to have these kids growing up down the street from us. They had tails. And we used to go hang out with them all the time. And the story goes, this is like a known thing in my family. These kids had tails because the mom had like denounced Christ. And so they were all cursed.
What?
Yes.
What?
They were monkey people. That's what they called them. Grandma was like the monkey kids.
Was this in South Carolina?
Yes. In Hartsville.
Ew, that's wild.
Yeah. So ask your families for like weird stories, even if it's all bullshit. It's so fun, the legends
I love
that
that stuff.
I also found out a horrible nickname that my grandma was called as a child that I will not repeat on the podcast because we will get canceled, but I will tell you after we turn the mics off.
Perfect.
Great.
And if you want to subscribe to that, you have to email us.
Sign the NDA.
Email is makeitweirdpod@gmail.com.
Yes. And thank you guys for all the spam.
Yes, we keep getting it, and honestly, I keep sending it. And thank you for listening, and keep on making it weird. Bye.